Yes, really, that's kind of loud. Hello, everybody online. Welcome to the new for sure. I'm getting started shortly. Okay. Hope everybody's nice and dry at home. It's wet and raining out here. Hello, Chris, Adrian, Kelly, Mason, and Rachel. We should have Donna joining us shortly too online. Today is not Friday. This is supposed to be class 3, so everybody online, we're in session 3 today. That should have been the class last Thursday, so we're making up for that class today. We had the wonderful snow day, no snow. Welcome to DC. I mean, Friday was snow day. They had actually no snow, but it was really cold. So welcome to DC. Today's session, we'll be covering find your business, prospect and lead generate, contact with potential clients, and obtain referrals. So this should have came before working with buyers and working with sellers, and as far as how to find your business. So it's got kind of got out of order just because of different speaker schedules and stuff. We couldn't just push everything back. Certain speakers had scheduled those days, but even those days. So it's a little out of order. But you'll get the whole lead gen stuff today as far as where to find business from, how to work your sphere, how to do, they'll have door knocking and phone calls and all the different things. And the main thing of this is you got to find your niche. For me, I prefer a sphere, the Feeney method of just notes, calls, and pop-bys to people that I know, people that already know me, that I've done the mayor campaign with. I'm not one to go out and knock on doors and make cold calls. Some people like that, and there's some people are very good at it. We got Allison in our office, Housing Miller. She called expireds all day long. It's just nonstop. She's dialing. She does very well at it, and she enjoys it. That is not who I am. So basically, when that's the beauty of real estate and having your own business, this is getting so annoying with the scratching, that you find your niche, find what you're good at, and you do it. And everybody's doing things. Session 3 today. So it's different pages based on which session you're in. Got to find the session first. Find your business right here. And find your business. Yep. All right. So like I said, so today's all about lead gen. We have Dave Donaldson who will be doing that. He's our technology guy here, but he is in his own right and a really good agent. He's produced high levels in two different marketplaces, so he knows what he's talking about how to find business. So he should be doing a really good job today. Then we'll go to our lead gen. Anybody, you can see a house yet? You want to see a house? You want to see it tomorrow? Awesome. And like I said, I know I can, again, totally understand that door. Like I said, I don't want to use it as an excuse for not doing those activities in the class, so we understand that it's so compressed, it's hard to do everything they want you to do and keep going with everything else we got going on in the market center and doing your business as well. It's a whole erase and replace. Find time to do as much as you can, but the main thing is just keep in mind, these are activities that you're going to do going forward. So if you didn't do them all day, this is the things, when you start your business, you want to be making calls every day, writing notes every day, putting people in a database every day, go and see homes, especially if you're going to have an area. If you're going to say this is like your neighborhood, it's a great place to start, you should know in a good 1, 2, 3 mile radius, every home in your neighborhood where you live that's for sale and that has sold. And you should go see them all. That way you start to become the expert of that area. As if you're going to form an area, that's the best place to form is where you live, because then you can kind of do 2 in 1. Some people pick a form because of the price value and stuff and all, but if you live where you live, as long as it's got a good absorption rate, which they'll talk to you about on different sessions, that it's where you live. Not only do you get to form the area because you're there, it's local, doesn't drive as much, but then you still going to have sphere because you're going to be in neighborhoods, people walking, the kids are going to school together. So you're doing a sphere marketing and a form marketing, so it's not pure cold calling. It's a little bit warmer. Because when I first went to my neighborhood and we had a code drive, I went walking the neighborhood without clients with a code drive. Of course, I had my little real estate tag on, and when I first opened the door, everybody's like really cold, and of course waiting for the pitch, everything. My first entry was, "Hi, I'm Shane. I just moved in the neighborhood down the street." As soon as I did that, walls came down. oh, really, Brad? Oh, good, that's really good. Today you have a kid, and they start talking about, because now you're part of the neighborhood. You're a neighbor. It's a different thing than being some random agent walking their neighborhood. You're one of their neighbors. And then I came from contribution, give them the code drive. That's my first introduction, and they loved it. So it was a way to get contribution and say, hey, I'm developing, I wanted to meet my neighbors. So they were a lot more open, where I only had one, really just like, no, I don't know what to do. It basically closed on my face. Out of 100 doors I knocked on, only one was really ugly about it. Everybody else was very welcome, very open, because I'm a neighbor. It's a different level of comfort than some random agent walking somebody's neighborhood because they want to form that neighborhood. So that's a good place to start. It's a safer place to start if you want to do some of the more colder techniques. Phone calls. Phone calls this week? Writing some notes? Okay, well, I'm going to help you out with your notes today. Sorry about everybody online, because I can't virtually give y'all notes. Unless y'all want to send out cards, I can give y'all a send out card account. I can do that. But I'm going to give y'all all here, and we're going to spend a few minutes right now writing some notes. So I'm going to give y'all each 3 cards, and if y'all write them and address them, I'll stamp them and mail them for y'all. So just, it could be anybody, preferably somebody you've talked to since you've been at night. But it could be anybody, somebody that you want to thank for something, that you want to just say, hey, I appreciate you. That's a lost art these days, saying thanks. And it goes a long, long way to really show who you are as a professional. So we'll spend a few minutes. I'll turn the mic off and just take about 5 minutes. Think about some cards, people you have addresses for. If you have cards at home, go ahead and do that right now too. Write a few cards. Just take the time to sit there and send 3 cards. Say thank you. Say I appreciate you. Say good talking to you. Something like that. So I'll give you about 5 minutes to do that. It doesn't have to be much. I mean, you can say, hey, I appreciate you. I just want to know that I was thinking about you and I appreciate you. Thanks for being in my life. Something simple as that. It doesn't have to be big old profound philosophy and 10 paragraphs. It's as simple as, hey, thanks for being in my life. I appreciate you. That's it. I mean, that's just something that people don't get anymore, is that written card of saying thanks. And you would be surprised. I mean, I've gotten people that I've sent cards to that they'll post on Facebook the picture of the card and say, look what my friend sent me, look what my real estate agent sent me, and appreciate it because they're not getting it more. But we just passed Christmas. How many sent thank you notes to everybody saying gave you a gift for Christmas? I mean, that's not done anymore. And that's some of my kids, as soon as they get presents, they start writing notes to everybody sending them presents. I want them to be in a habit young of saying thanks for things they get. So it doesn't have to be always real estate related. It just have to be the main thing is writing 3 notes a day. Obviously, you're not going to have 3 real estate contacts every single day until your database gets bigger. But you have people in your life, you go to the Starbucks, get the manager's card, say, hey, thanks, get the person's name who waited on you. Susie cashier, really had a great smile today. Keep up the great work. Just showing gratitude where you go. You start getting that habit of writing notes on a regular basis. It becomes part of your life, and you start doing it more. And that's a really good thing. Did y'all work on your mission statement, the mission stuff and all for today? Did y'all look over that at all? I know we had some things to do on your 10-4, videos to watch. Did y'all, I know you don't have access to it yet. Did y'all watch the videos on the mission statement? Good. Any questions on anything that's going on so far? Any major revelations or thought processes? Being helpful. I know it's like I said, I know it's a fire hose, but
it's very much a fire hose.
Yeah.
I think my biggest revelation so far is the hardest part was simply just starting.
Getting started, absolutely.
Doing that first thing,
mm-hmm.
and then going, oh, that wasn't so bad.
Yep. And that's so usually how it is. You got that fear built up of doing something new. Once you do it, it's like, oh, that didn't kill me. That's a good thing. And then it didn't really hurt either. So that's a good thing. So I can do more of this. as that whole 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. It's just like you can always find things to procrastinate about or put off or delay and other things to do, clean your desk, clean your room, whatever. But it's just about just getting that time and just boom, this is my time. You time block your one thing activity and just getting it done. And that's the only way it's going to get done. Because you always find busy work to do, for sure. Let's see if
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
This is Donna.
Hey, Donna.
I was just chatting with a couple others. The sound quality is really bad. Is there something we can do to fix that on our end?
It's showing good on mine.
What's bad about it?
Yeah, what's bad about it? Is it
Okay. It's like I don't know how to explain it, but it's kind of hard to understand.
It might just me because I'm Cajun and y'all can't understand me.
No. All right. Well, I know that a couple of other people have chatted and said that it was the same, so I just didn't know if it was just me.
I just want to look at the chat. Let me try the handheld mic real quick. See, that's better.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. I appreciate it.
1, 2, test 1, 2. Is this any better?
Oh my God, so much better.
A lot better? Okay.
Yeah, it was like echoey, tinny, and really staticky before.
This is better?
Awesome. Yes. Okay, I'm going to mute myself now.
Okay. Thank you, Donna.
Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, everybody online, y'all are unmuted on my end, so if y'all mute yourself and y'all want to come in and ask any questions, always feel free to do that. Just keep yourself muted. Otherwise, I got to mute everybody if there's any background noise. All right, so now I'm ready to turn over to Dave, so I need to tap dance a little bit because he's not back yet. Go ahead. The classes you missed, Dave is putting them on our office YouTube page. So he is, once we finish the recording, he downloads it and then he uploads it to YouTube, to our office YouTube page. So if you don't have access to that, ask Dave. He'll be here today. He'll give you that access. And all the classes for this class, boot camps, going forward, any class you miss will be, that's the plan, is to put it on our office YouTube page, and all the classes will be in there to review, look over if you miss a class, stuff like that. So you better see them like that.
Shane, the office YouTube, is that on the KW site, and is that once you're up and running? Or how do you access that?
It should be a straight page, straight to YouTube. Yeah, it should be a page outside of KW. We'll ask Dave when he comes in. I'm not 100%.
Okay.
We just started that, so I'm not 100% sure either.
Has this whole class been put on that so far?
Yes, it has. It should.
Okay, awesome.
We could double check, but yeah, it's supposed to be, every class should be on there as of right now. That's been there so far.
Oh, great. Okay, thanks.
Very welcome. All right, anybody else need a few more minutes? Y'all writing notes online? Everybody got notes? Now, I mentioned Send Out cards a few minutes ago. For those who aren't familiar with it, it's a great little program that you could send cards completely online. And I like it a lot in that you could take pictures from Facebook. Like a lot of times people will post pictures of their activities or the events or their kids or things going on. And they would love to have that picture to hang on their wall, but nobody prints pictures anymore. All the pictures on Facebook have no pictures in their house anymore. Well, with Send Out card, you can take that picture from Facebook, put it on a card, which is the same size as a 3x5 or a 5x7 picture, send it to them in the mail, and it's picture quality, and they end up framing it. And really, and then your branding's on the back. So that's another way to have a unique touch. And so if you want to know more about that, let me know anytime. I can tell you more about that. And now I can stop tap dancing because Dave is back. Now, we did good, Dave. They did some cards. They got the action stuff done. And so now they're ready to find out how to lead generate. And so that was being extremely hot, and that online was having lots of feedback and echoing. They said, yeah. I turned it down a little bit, but they said this right here is a lot better, so I changed over to this one. So yeah, you could play with that. And Donna comes on and is chatting with us and letting us know for everybody. I got everybody unmuted, and they mute themselves, and then they're talking to us when they need to. All right, so Dave, the man, is here. He'll try to fix the live mic. So let him know if it sounds better. If not, he'll go with the handheld as well, I'm sure. I did, yes. Cool.
A lot louder.
Yeah, a lot louder.
Let's try.
All righty, so I will turn this over to Mr. David Donaldson. He will be talking about lead gen like I already discussed, and feel free to ask questions away. Like I said, he is a very accomplished agent in his own right, and he knows tech, and he knows YouTube, he knows videos, so I could ask him about that as well. He'll stick to the script, but feel free to ask him about some of his stuff that is in his lane as well. I'm sure he'll be glad to talk about that, and especially his KW video and our initiative to push that, which is a really good way to lead gen. I mean, everything we do in this business is about lead gen. Nothing we do is for any other reason to say how we find business. And the KW video, which Dave's been pushing a lot lately, which I 100% agree with, video is where we're going. You talk to anybody in tech, anybody in future advertising, marketing, you got to be doing video. And that website and that platform is such a great platform to do that, and it's so affordable at $150 for the whole year that it's a no-brainer. So without any further ado, here's Mr. Dave Donaldson.
Morning, everybody. Is that a little bit better? All right, for those of you guys that are online, I have the lavalier microphone. I turned it down a smidge. I'm actually going to lower this down to about there. Can you guys hear me okay? Somebody click on and say yay. What Eric would say, clap once, clap twice, 3 times.
It's bad. It's bad again.
It's bad.
It's better the other way.
Is it too loud on your end?
Yeah.
Hold on.
It's very like you just went on an AM station rather than FM.
AM station.
There you go. That's good. That's FM. You know how AM is crackly and echoey and yeah.
But handhelds. You guys didn't have any trouble with the handheld when it was you?
Ooh, that's bad.
I'm moving the antenna at the second. Give me 1 second. All right, can you hear me now? We'll give this a spring. If not, I'm going to turn it off.
It's the same.
Same? All right, let me go to the up. Go to the handhelds, go to a little tricky, but I'll do my best to keep my volume up. Okay, so I am now on the handheld. How's that? Can you hear me?
That's way better.
Okay, we'll give that a try.
Yay.
Playing with these
Thanks.
input levels on this thing, and I think there's a inside thing we can play. Well, we'll play with that later. Okay, so with no further ado, we are on lead generating for your business, and that's what we're going to talk about today. And for those of you not in the room, it's really hot in here. It's quite muggy, so I'm going to go check on Highlands real quick and tell them to turn the temperature down. We're cooking in there. It says 90 degrees on your thermostat. No, but I'm going to turn it down anyways. I'm going to turn you into an icebox.
Hi, Ed.
All right, lead generate. That's what we're going to talk about today, which is, the funny thing is that I know we had the snowstorms, we had to move this around, so obviously this is session 3 and something we normally cackle in the beginning. But lead generation is the lifeblood of your business. I think we all kind of agree with that, whether you've been in real estate a long time or you've been in something else. Lead generation really is everything. So we're on page 13. This is 8 to 11, but my book, I'm on page 13. So I don't know if they exactly match up. I know we made some changes. So I'm on Get Your Head in Your Game. Should come after the scripts. This says pages 8 to 11. All right, so 14 in your book, 13 in mine. So we're off a smidge. Okay, so at the top of the page, it says, why is active lead generation important? So let's get some feedback on that. Why is active lead generating important? No lead generation, no business. I see a lot of bobbleheads. Yes, that's right. That's right. Okay, that is true. Lead generation is important. Does it matter how you lead generate? Okay. True. right? There's definitely a difference in quality, right? So there's quantity versus quality, right? So we hear about face-to-face, you hear going out, having coffee, we talk about open houses, right? So anytime you can get visual with somebody, you can get their head going up and down, that's a quality appointment. Things that are coming in online, either through Facebook, social media, websites, the conversion rates of those are literally about 1 to 3%. So think of for every 100 people that you can drive to a website, a business page, an advertisement that you have to try to follow up with, your conversion is about 1 to 3%. So as an individual agent, that's a really sticky wicket for your business because time is money. So you have to be really smart about how you're going to communicate with people, who you're going to talk with them, when you're going to talk with them, and more importantly, how you're going to spend your money. And we talk a lot about your first year. Like I know I talk about in training all the time, and you hear Eric say about free 99. Somebody once said to me that if you want to make money in real estate, create something that you can sell to a realtor. Right? Does that make? How many calls have you gotten in your first year about buy this, sell this, I can offer this, the silver bullet of business? I can increase your productivity tenfold if you buy this product. That's not true. You're just going to go broke. There's so many things that you need to do to build that foundation before you worry about these other things. And social media is important. Video is important, right? Getting your brand out there is important. Complete profiles and awareness is important. But that's not necessarily going to drive your business. What's going to drive your business is your communication, picking up the phone, doing what we're talking about in productivity, texting with a purpose, having those coffees, going out and having lunch points. Be careful with lunch because you'll go broke doing that, right? Jumping in the car the first time somebody says something and then buying them lunch. Money's important. Be real careful. Be real conscious to what you do. So in the book it says, active lead generation ensures that not only will you get business quickly, but when done consistently, it also ensures a steady stream of business. Said another way, active lead generation turns the feast or famine cycle most agents go through and creates a steady upward increase in business. So you have to build that foundation, right? So in the beginning, your focus should be on the people you know because they'll be able to refer you business, right? Not the people you don't know. But I'm not saying to ignore your online presence because that storefront, that appearance, that business that you have online is important because the people that you talk to or the people that you don't talk to that may be talking about you, they're going to look you up online before they ever talk to you. Does that make sense? So they go hand in hand. Like if you haven't Googled yourself, you have to do that. And you should do that probably once a month, right? Facebook to me was a game changer. You know, back in 2007 when I first got onto this thing called the Facebook, I'm like, what is this? I got online. I saw people I hadn't talked to since I was 12. There was pictures of me at my Little League rec center. Somebody had created this Facebook group. I didn't know anything about it. It was completely wigged out. But it changed, right? And then you quickly get caught up in all this. And then you see friends from college and tagging you in photos and pictures and posts. You need to know what's out there. Like if you haven't gone to Google and look at Google Images or Google Videos or news feeds or see what people, so you have to be conscious of what people are tagging you in or what the market is talking to you about, right? Because there are things in Google where they will actually rank your productivity. There are companies out there that think they know what they're talking about and they're trying to be a value add for the consumer that talks about your production, how long you're in days of market, what's your average price sales, how many transactions you've done, and try to rank you against. So that happened to me. There was this program in Arizona, and it was called Neighborhood, I think. And I was just doing a standard Google search. And there it was. It was ranking me. It was putting actual context behind my productivity, you know, ranking me against other agents, which did really algorithmically didn't make a lot of sense because I knew the people, some of the people I didn't know what they were talking about. Now, I never got called on it in any of my listing appointments or buyer consultations, but I was aware of it. So if somebody had asked me about it, I would have been able to talk to it. Had it come up and I didn't know what was out there for me, it would have caught me off guard, right? So you really do have to be conscious and go 1 or 2 pages deep and see what's out there for you. And when I talk about these social media platforms and profiles, the KW profile page, realtor.com, facebook.com, linkedin.com, homes.com, you should have profiles on every free page possible, right? Because that just boosts your juice. And that'll block up a lot of the first page on name recognition alone. and bury some of the other stuff if there is stuff. Like once I was talking to a realtor in a room like this, and she happened to be a cheerleader. I didn't even know it. And I actually pulled her up in class and just kind of pulled up her profile. And there was all these cheerleading pictures online. Now, she was aware of it, and I didn't mean to embarrass her in the class, and she did. She handled it very well. But that is something that may or may not work with a client. So she knew about it, but she was professional. She knew how to handle it. So that's one of the things you need to be aware of. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more about that. What do you think is different about lead generation of successful agents compared to their not successful agents? Consistency. Okay, consistency in what? 9 and 11, right? I will tell you that what we do in this market center, and I've been around the block. I've been licensed for over 10 years. Been with Keller Williams since 2009. I've been in multiple market centers. I was licensed in Arizona from 2007 through 2014. But I moved here in 2012, so I was dual licensed. And I have been in 3 different market centers here in the Northern Virginia area due to movement. Not every market center is created equal. This is a great company, but not every market center is created equal. Not every leadership team is created equal. And what we've put together here and what the productivity program is and how they focus on it is unique. I've not been in another market center that has a 9 to 11 a.m. accountability lead generation program like we have here. So take advantage of that because they're really going to be able to open your eyes to some things that you might be doing or you might be doing wrong or that you might be could be doing better with some simple tweaks. Eric's very good at what he does. But consistency in what you do too, right? That we kind of touched on earlier with who you're talking to, but don't get bogged down. So a lot of us feel that we're doing work, we're doing busy work, but are we doing smart work? Right? You can feel like you're accomplishing things because you're posting things, you're texting things. But if you're not communicating, are you really getting anything done? So be conscious to that. You know, success leaves clues. Any agent who takes Ignite achieves 70% more contacts, 65% more calls, and 88% more reviews. They grow their market share and they create opportunities. And that is in the devil's in the details there, right? So if you do what we're training you to do, and you can't do everything, so don't get overwhelmed, and that's especially being new. There's so much, right? You're going to learn about a lot of different things in Ignite. You're going to come to technology classes. You're going to see what is available to you in the different platforms of the company, or you're just going to know of things that are out there. You kind of have to. There's a niche in your market, and there's a niche in your business. So you can only grab a hold of a couple of things and try to master those well. And as you grow and you add leverage to what you're doing, and that leverage could be people on your team or outside resources that you utilize to grow your business, then you can add some of these other things. You can't manage everything. So be very careful to that, right? Technology, I think, is very, very important. But I would say technology is just leverage. It's not a replacement to the fundamentals. The fundamentals is talking to people and picking up the phone or knocking on doors. Technology makes a lot of that easier because you can use a dialer. You can talk to people, then put them in a CRM tool because the automatic follow-up that takes place after that. But the technology itself can't replace those face-to-face, that human relationship. And that's why I think a lot of these other companies or different systems and models that you see, I don't see it ever replacing what we do because the human touch in this and what you have from a knowledge standpoint can't be replaced. So be careful with technology. All right, make it happen, lead generation. On page 15, which might be 16 for you guys, we're talking about the benefits of prospecting. What are the benefits of prospecting? Give me some ideas. What are the benefits of prospecting? What is prospecting? Is prospecting the same as lead generation? It's looking for leads, but it's maybe doing the preparatory work sometimes, right? Prospecting can be inexpensive, right? Prospecting can be going out and handing out things in your neighborhood. Be going to a community party, going to the HOA, going to the PTO. It's not things that have to cost money. It's inexpensive and can yield immediate results, right? Just simple. Facebook, a perfect example. Being on Facebook with an intention of communication, right, and follow-up. A big part of what we do in our world is referrals too, right? You guys understand that you can refer people anywhere in the world and potentially earn a commission on that, right? So perfect example. So I had a friend of mine that I hadn't talked to since graduated high school. And he put online that he was thinking about selling his apartment in Philadelphia. Well, I'm not licensed in Philadelphia. And I hadn't talked to Ben face-to-face in probably 20 years. But the traditional happy birthday, how's it going, how's the family, those things that Facebook allows us to do allowed me to interject and say, Ben, I got the guy for you because I happen to know somebody in the city that represents people. And even if not, I always offer to help them find somebody because I understand how tricky it can be to navigate to find somebody. So he said, all right, I'd love to talk to Mickey, but I want to let you know I'm going to meet with multiple people. Well, I already know statistics say he's probably going to sign with the first person because 82% of people sign with the first person they actually meet with. So getting in the door, okay, so just kind of get over that first door. Getting in the door is everything because the chances of you winning that business right out the gate is over 82%. Okay, even if their intention is to meet other people, you have the ability, so be prepared to take the business right on the spot. So I followed up with Ben probably a week or so later, just see how it went. And he said, oh, I just want to let you know that I did sign with Mickey. And I'm thinking, oh, that's great. In my mind, I'm like, of course you did. Statistics tell me that's what's going to happen. But what he said next really kind of surprised me. I guess I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was. He said, you weren't the only person who referred Mickey to me. I said, really? He said, yeah, my brother Chris also referred Mickey. I said, that's fantastic. I said, did Chris use Mickey too? He said, no. Chris is a realtor. I said, really? Where? Oh, actually, he's with your company down in Baltimore. I said, really? That's fantastic. Who got the referral on this deal? You're darn right I did. Where does Chris not engage himself? On Facebook. The brother is not on Facebook. I made the introduction. The brother was this client who had a brother who's a realtor went to Facebook first. Let's sit in for a minute. He went to Facebook first, and his brother is a licensed realtor. Didn't ask him for anything because the general public doesn't know. In his mind, his brother's a realtor in Baltimore. What does he know about selling an apartment in Philadelphia? Right? That's the general public's idea of what we do. All I did was 3 little words. I got you. Send him a referral. I got 25% on a $500,000 apartment in the city of Philadelphia. That's a good paycheck for doing nothing but responding to a Facebook. Prospecting. Cheap, inexpensive, very profitable. So that happens all the time. I have 10 different deals that have come down through Facebook that were nothing but referrals because people said something online that I was able to follow up with because the whole time I had been engaging with them in a passive way. Happy birthday. Congratulations. Kids look great. Congratulations on the soccer trophy. So be intentional to that. And the things that I will say when it comes to like on Facebook or the other platforms, and I'll talk a lot about Facebook, but all the platforms can be similar. When you say happy birthday to somebody, okay, this is really important. Don't get lost on the wall of the 85 people that are saying happy birthday. Be different. Be old school. Send an instant message. Send them a birthday card. Send them a video through Facebook video. Hey, Ben, happy birthday. Right? You can shoot that in seconds. Okay? Pick up the phone and call him. How many calls do you get on your birthday anymore? Your grandmother might not even call you anymore. She's with us. I'm just saying. Those common things don't happen as often anymore. So now you get to do what we were used to, and that was commonplace, and differentiate yourself in the marketplace, right? If you called somebody that you went to high school with and said, happy birthday, would it blow their mind? Possibly, right? And if it's not somebody you talk to all the time, but it might blow their mind. Or if they had a kid or a graduation or something that struck a nerve or a chord or a memory, and you reached out to them. Prospecting. So take that into consideration. Put you in control of fulfilling your pipeline of leads, right? Because your leads isn't always just about now. It's what's in the future, what's coming. Yields quantity of leads, which also yields quality of leads. Keeps you in direct contact with the market and prospects against market shifts. So we can describe it. You guys on 16? See at the bottom there, prospecting equals 1 million people equals rejection, right? We see myth and we see truth. What do you believe? Do you believe in that myth or do you believe in the truth? What do you think? Does that speak to you? What do you think? Go ahead, keep it quiet the whole time. I got 3 people in the room. I called so many people. Come on, talk to me. Go ahead and read the myth aloud. Let me see your face. Let me hear you say the myth. Is that something you believe? And this is not an accusation. These are the truths that we have to face about what we're doing in our business. Depends on the style. All right, talk to me about your style. Do you feel that way about prospecting? Does prospecting make you feel that way?
Do we just, the people that aren't there, do we just chime in, or is there a way that we can type it?
Please do. If you want to chime in, go ahead. I'm fine with that.
Okay, cool.
No, speak up.
I just didn't know if we were supposed to like type it in or just chime in.
Well, typing would be difficult. No, as long as we don't have like 10 people talking at the same time, I left the mics open, or you can just click your mic on and off. And if you would like to speak, that's fantastic. Okay. Yeah, don't raise your hand.
But if you type in the chat, does everybody see it in the chat?
No, I
may not type in the chat.
It'll pop up, but I may or may not see it.
Okay, all right.
But you could
hard to raise your hand.
And you can send them a class message. Oh, okay.
Wait, say that again because you were chopping.
You can just say, hey, Dave, I want to talk. Stop talking. All right, so there's somebody online.
Okay, all right, cool.
Okay.
Thanks. Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, so I'm coming back to you. It has to be genuine. Okay, but let's talk about mindset. If I say prospecting to you, does that make you feel that you would be annoying people and you would possibly face rejection? Is that something that could potentially creep into your mind? Okay. There's no right or wrong. I want to help you guys face some simple truths about how we do what we do. Okay. That's in the back of your mind. Okay. And if it wasn't, I would be shocked. I've been in the business 10 years and I still face that truth. That when I have to pick up the phone and talk to somebody, that I question myself and I say, well, I know how I am when the phone rings, right? So how am I going to handle this? Well, what was the term when I was kind of talking to you earlier about class, what I was saying, what do we have to do? Got to get over it. We got to get over it, right? There's a lot of things that we're going to do in this business. You're just going to have to get over it. You can't let it paralyze you. You can look at this, you can recognize it, but you can't let it hold you captive, right? Believe me, the first time you pick up the phone is the hardest time. It gets easier every time thereafter. And it may be the first time every day is the hardest time. I'm not a big phone person, okay? So the first phone call of every day is the hardest, and it gets easier, and then you get in a groove. But you got to get over yourself, okay? It's okay. Everybody's that way. Truth. Prospecting equals meeting people and building purposeful businesses. Relationships equals strong real estate business. That's the mindset you kind of have to put yourself in, right? You're going to hear about the drunk monkey, right? That's that limiting belief that you have somebody telling you, saying, don't do that, right? You kind of have to get over that. This is really a powerful thing. And maybe it's something you just have to write down and tell yourself, but you're helping people, right? We're not doctors, but you are helping people, right? You can't help everybody, and they have to be prepared to receive your help. But in the right mindset, you are helping people. Behind my page turns here, I think. Right, the 4 C's of prospecting. 4 C's of prospecting. We're on page 16. You guys, we're going to be working pages 16 through 20. For those of you keeping score at home. Capture, connect, close, and cultivate. Let's first capture leads by getting their contact information. You got to connect by establishing a relationship, and you got to close them for an appointment or eventually to buy or sell their home. Cultivate them to maintain and strengthen your relationship, right? The last thing you want to do is create a bunch of orphan clients. What do I mean by that? People I service and I never talk to again. Does that happen in our business? All the time. I have a lady I'm working with right now, which I thought was going to be a quick deal. It's now going into year 2. It's going into year 2. And I met her, so as you get to know me, you may have seen me, I am a hockey parent. Okay, my son plays travel ice hockey. And so that initially puts me into a group of people that you get to be very close with. Right? So you need to look to yourself and see what groups you're involved with, and how can you leverage that, right? Not take advantage of, provide value and leverage. So when I first got into the team 4 years ago, I met this lady, and she was in the process of buying a house. And she actually came up and apologized. She's like, oh, I heard you're a realtor, but I'm already buying a house. I said, no problem. Not a problem, right? Fine. So what did I do? Gave her my mobile app. She closed the deal, and I sent her a congratulations card. Okay? A year and a half later, she got married. Got pregnant. Now has 3 kids, a husband, and living in a 1,527 square foot townhouse. Is that big enough? No. So for a year and a half, I did nothing except talk, ask how things were going. She reached out to me. Said, hey, this house isn't big enough. Need you to buy, need you to sell. Can you handle that for me? Sure. Did she ever hear from the agent that represented her previously? If she had, she may or may not have come to me, but it would have been a harder deal, but right? Because I was passive about it. I was prospecting and purposeful about how I handled the situation. It worked out in my favor. It's take a little bit longer. What you'll find in this business, things happen faster than you expect, and sometimes they take much, much longer than you expect, and that's okay because you have a pipeline. I was genuine, and I try to be genuine. Now, have I been hurt? Have I been shocked? Have I been surprised, aghast, really upset because I expect somebody to come to me? Absolutely. That's going to happen to you too. And Dennis, what do we have to do about that? You got to get over that. You're going to have somebody in your life that you think is a come list me, and they're going to go list with somebody else. They may or may not have even talked to you that they were looking to buy, sell, and invest in real estate. And you have to ask yourself, why did that happen? Now, you may have done everything possible. You may have been personable. You may have been intentional the entire time with that person. Or you might have been assumptive with that person. Okay? Sometimes people just don't want to work with friends. Sometimes they just don't want to work with family. Get over it. It's okay. Don't let it send you sideways. Don't let it ruin that relationship. Because you never know when that can come back to you. That same person who did not use you, for whatever reason, may also refer you a ton of business. I have a friend that I knew from Arizona. I did not represent them in Arizona when they sold, and they moved here the year before I did. They've bought 2 houses since then. I've not represented them in any transaction. They've referred me deals. They did not, and he was very honest with me in Arizona. He said, Dave, because it was right when I first got my license, and the market was bottoming out, and he was facing a short sale. I said, I can help you. He said, Dave, I don't want this to come between us. Not a problem. Done. If you ever need anything, let me know. And occasionally he will ask me a question. But I always know that I may never see his business, but he has referred me business. So don't let it send you sideways. Does that make sense? Get over it. Theme of the day. Get over it. We'll talk a lot about that. Connect. Oh, sorry, I skipped over the first one. Capture. You got to capture your business. How are you going to capture your business? Well, you guys have a database, right? So when you get through here, or while you're in here, you're building your database. You may have an Excel spreadsheet. You may have Facebook. You may have LinkedIn. You could potentially have thousands of contacts, but this will tell you that you probably have 150 people in your immediate sphere that you can reach out to that know, like, and trust you. You got to identify those people. You got to find out a way to communicate with them. But that's your initial capture. And then you will connect with those people. Connecting questions. You guys see that? We're on page 19. Would you guys read those for me? If you would each go and read a question for me and work through that, I'd appreciate it. Hold on, let me give you. Let's do the mic so the people online can hear.
If you would please tell me a little bit about your family, your job, life, etc.
That's the who.
What are you looking for? What do you want to do? That's the what.
Where would you like to buy? Where is your home located? That's the where. And why are you moving? Why?
When would you like to do this? The when. Now, how do you plan to do this? How?
What other questions can you ask? It's all about asking the open-ended questions, right? Not the yes and no questions. You gotta get them talking. What else can you ask? What features are you looking for in a home? Okay. Tell me about why you're moving. What has changed? Right? Where are you going? What does your future look like? Is this your forever home? What are your long-term plans? How do you want to look at this? Do you consider your home investment? Can we talk about how that turns into an investment property for you? Do you know what it's like to own an investment property? Is your home an investment property? Let's talk about those things. So you can create a reciprocal connection with people by asking the right questions. And a lot of times when you ask questions, and this is something I struggle with, let them answer. Take notes. Don't keep talking. I have a tendency to just railroad. Keep talking. So you're going to get them talking. And then you're going to close them. Now, close isn't always about closing the business, closing a deal. It's closing an appointment. It's closing them for coffee, right? It's closing them to get together, right? There are different types of closes, right? And you may be comfortable with some of these. You may have done some of these. You may not even know that you do some of these, right? You're going for the call when you're calling somebody is to close them for at least one of the following: to get an appointment, to get a referral, or to get a reciprocal connection with them. Okay? There's the hard close. Hey, let's meet. Dennis, when can we meet? I've got Friday at 1 or Monday at 2. That's a hard close, right? Can you do that with some people in your database? Right? You need to know who you're talking to, right? The soft close. Well, Jen, I really enjoyed visiting with you. Would you like to get together again and discuss some more things later? Right? Massage that ego. What do they look like, right? The direct close. Well, I took the hard close and merged that with the direct close, right? Can we meet today or would tomorrow be better? Right? If you meet somebody in an open house and it's busy but they're interested, that's great. I can meet later today or tomorrow and we can sit down and talk about what your needs are. Indirect close. Would it be okay if I got you some information to look over and then we can meet to discuss? That's where you got somebody that's going, well, I'm kind of thinking I'm going to sell, but I'm not sure. They're giving you the opportunity to win them over, right? How you handle that, it will handle the next. I understand that you said you're looking for a 4-bedroom house. This one happens to be 3. Now, I've got some other ideas of, because you're the local area expert now, right? So you have some other properties that are in the market. I would love to sit down and talk to you about those. I could pull some information and present those to you. Would that work? You get what I'm saying? Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, right? Trial close. I think you would agree that we have gone over enough today. That meeting would be, the next meeting would be our next step, right? Because if you start to see people that are glazing their eyes is over, pull the plug. Let's try to get that next appointment. Obviously, they're not ready to go today. How about next week? Let's give you some time to reassess where we're at, and we'll come back to it. Assumptive close. Sounds like we should meet. I'm available most times this week. What works best for you, right? So if they're kind of hemming and hawing, you sound like, hey, you know what? It sounds like you're ready to meet. Let's get together. I've got all the information I need, right? And then you can tie that back with the direct close, right? Negative, positive. Would you be offended if I asked you if we could meet or go over this? Right? Because people will call you on the phone. So, hey, tell me about this property on 123 Main Street. What's the price? How many bedrooms is it? I heard there was some remodeling, or wasn't there a fire in that house? They're fishing you for information. Hey, no problem. I would love to talk to you about this. How about we schedule some coffee? I have a coffee shop right down the street, or hey, right around the corner from that house. I'd love to sit down and meet with you. Take back clothes. Really enjoyed visiting with you. To be honest, I'm not sure if I can be any of help, but I would be honored if we could find out. Right? You may not want to work with everybody. You might not be a good fit. So it's okay to reject business, but there's also good to kind of find out, hey, you know what? We seem to get along. I seem to have the information you're looking for. I would love to sit down and see if we can put something together. Right? And you may realize that, you know what? I can't work with this person, but I'm going to refer him to Dennis. He'll love to work with him. Right? Mindset. Tie down clothes. Wouldn't it make sense for us to meet in the next day or so? Like somebody's like, you know what? I got a job change coming up. I am being relocated to Austin. Well, okay. It makes a lot of sense for us to meet tomorrow so we can walk through your property, talk about what it's going to take to get you out of that house. And oh, by the way, I can put you in touch with a great realtor in Austin that could help you find something on the other end. Can we meet tomorrow? Alternative clothes. What works better for you? Monday, today, sometime this afternoon, or tomorrow? That's kind of going to pull some of the other ones together. You got to arm yourself with these different types of closes, right? Because Sheila in one of her classes talks about disc profiles and right personality types. You've got these social butterflies. You've got the engineers. You've got the hard knocks people that aren't going to open mouth and say anything to you. So you may have to try a couple of these different closes to schedule that appointment to kind of see which one works. You may not be able to identify right away what somebody looks like, right? It sounds kind of funny, but somebody could come across very social, but also at the same time be very introverted, right? I am a very social person. I train, I come up front, but when I'm off, I become very quiet and closed and reserved. I'm a different person than when I have to be on for my job. So we wear many hats. Yeah, I really am. It took me a while to realize that. Yeah, it's kind of funny how those things come together. You realize the more you go through this and you identify people and you go through different types of cleaning, you start reading things. Like, wow, I resemble that. I never thought of it that way. I understood that there are days when I come home from work and I'm really tired and quiet when I've been on all day. I got to come back into me for a little bit. So I'm conscious of that. I'm self-aware. So that works with your clients. Cultivate. This asked me to read all these, but we did all the closes on the previous page. So after we looked at all of those connecting questions and closing questions, what do you think relates the most with you? Take a look at that list that we just went through and pick 2 or 3 and tell me what do you think works for you? The questions. Sorry, the closes. My bad. The closes.
It sounds like we should meet. I'm available most of the time this week. So what works best for you?
You like the assumptive close. Okay. And I would challenge you to take that and maybe put 2 or 2 others and practice it. You practice them with each other. That's the only way you're going to get things. That's no different than a script, right? The closing, the conversations, the questions, they're all scripts. So you can practice them. Practice them in the mirror. Practice them on your phone. Practice them with each other. What do you like, Dennis?
I like the take back close. I can see some advantages to that because, you know, especially if you're just meeting somebody, it can help to kind of strengthen the relationship a little bit because, you know, if they're inclined to like you, because there are a lot of people who, if they think they can't have something, the more they want it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So by sitting there saying, I'm not sure that I can help you, but let's meet, you're starting to kind of pull that away a little bit.
They would go, wait, no, I really like you, right? Who's online who wants to chime in? Somebody give me something. You guys have been awful quiet. I can wait. Chris, Wiesem, Donna, Eli. Somebody give me a close.
I'm here. I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question again?
Absolutely. What close? We just went through all the closes. What close do you feel comfortable with? What do you think is in your wheelhouse?
Oh, let me think about that one.
Susie, what do you think? Soft close, okay. If I had to guess.
You know, I've really enjoyed visiting with you. When would you like to get together to discuss this further?
That's good. You're going to know who you are. There's a time, you will have to realize that there is a time to push. There's a time to step back. And that's all becoming that self-aware thing. It takes time. It does take time, but you'll figure it out. And you'll be surprised how quickly you'll adapt. And once you start putting yourself in the mindset of trying to evaluate people, you'll learn very quickly who they are and what traits. Oh, all right, I need to step back. Or, hey, I really kind of have to push. Or I'm going to kind of wait this one out. All right, your sphere of influence. All the people who know you, trust you, and may do business with you. Very, very important, especially as a new agent. All right, we'll talk, we'll go back to that drunk monkey a little bit. There's limiting beliefs. I'm new, I don't know anything, and it's going to show. That's what you think, right? I swear to goodness, it's been 10 years, and I remember it like it was yesterday. I thought the same thing. How could I possibly go in front of somebody and let them know I know what I'm talking about? I've been licensed a week. I'm holding $1 million open house. True story. First weekend in the business, I'm holding $1 million open house. No, it wasn't my listing. It was somebody in my office. At the time, $1 million in Arizona was something. Let me tell you, it was right before the market. I was lucky. I got my license in March of 2007. Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about a learning experience. So here I am. I'm holding an open house. I carry myself well. I convinced, I'm going to ask me why this listing agent would let me hold this house open. I'm new. Didn't she realize I'm new? I don't know anything. You know what? What you don't realize is that they don't know that you're new. They walk into that house. You're the seasoned vet. You're going to tell them all about this house. You're the industry market expert. You have to believe that. You do have to arm yourself with the information. You can't fumble through it. You have to be confident. You can be soft, you can be reserved, and you can listen. But you do have to know what you're talking about. And you can do it right away. I spent that first week, I went out and looked at all the properties in the neighborhood. Okay, I saw what was for sale. It was an area that I was comfortable with. I wouldn't go in an area that I didn't know. Like if I lived in Springfield, I wouldn't go hold an open house in Ashburn. Would that make any sense for me, for my business, or for my knowledge base? No. Right? So I went to where I was comfortable. I went to where I could intelligently talk about, without even being a licensed realtor, you know stuff about an area. Right? You know where the schools are, you know where the parks are, you know where the golf courses are, you know how traffic patterns are. Go to where you know. Right? So when they walk in, it's very easy, because then you're just talking about bedrooms, bathrooms, and square footages. Right? If you've gone and looked at the other houses in the neighborhood, you can talk to that. Or if you looked at the most recent sales in the neighborhood, you can talk to that too. Because the neighbors are going to come in and they're going to know. They're absolutely going to know. But they don't know that you're new. Nobody knows that you're new. And even when you are, that's okay. Friends and family, sphere, you tell them that you're new, you send them that announcement letter. They're going to want to help you. They're not going to go, I'm not going to work with them. They're new. Well, everybody in this business was new at some point. Every single one of us. There's nobody in real estate that was born, a mega agent. Right? You're smiling. It's true. It's true. Everybody started at one point. There's not a single person in this office that started being a multi-million-dollar producer. Some people got there faster than others. There is confidence with that. There's definitely confidence with it. But there's a way to go about it too. But if you do what you're supposed to do, you do it well, you'll get confidence real quick. But don't put yourself in a situation where you can fail. And that's understanding where to go, where to focus on, strength in numbers that way. So with your sphere, how many people do you think you know? 50, 100, 200? I mentioned this earlier, the average is thought to be about 150. You've got a much larger radius of that through social media. But who do you truly know, right? So you got to identify those people. And those are the people that, as you're new, that's who you got to be talking to, right? That's where you're going to go have meetings. You got to put together that list, that top 100 people. It might be 20, it might be 50, it might not be 100 yet. That's okay. But you got to go out. You got to go out and have those heart-to-heart conversations, because those are the people that will help you be successful, that literally will make it their mission to help you be successful, right? Aren't we like that? Like if you had a painter or a contractor or somebody in your house, and the moment
The audio kicked off online.
Sorry about that. I guess I turned my microphone off. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you again.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
So your sphere. Does everybody see that sphere picture? Right. So if you know 150 people, then go Oprah on you. And she knows 150 people. And he knows 150 people. And Susie knows 150 people. How many people is that your outreach all of a sudden? 1,000 people. Right. So you have one good conversation or one good experience with somebody, and it tells everybody, right? And the adverse also happens, right? Do you know that the ratio is like 7 to 1? If you had experience with somebody, you're going to tell 7 people. It's even worse than that now with online. That was before a lot of the online stuff. Scary. Be careful. Know what's out there. Google yourself, right? But the sphere. That's why I kind of backtrack a second here. I want to talk about the social media. The social media can help you identify the people. Like there may be somebody you haven't talked to that very quickly could become an advocate of yours by having a, hey, I haven't talked to this person in a while. Dennis, let's get together. Let me tell you about what's going on. And when you have that meeting, it's not, you got to be careful because it's not just about you, right? You got to be careful and you want to know about them. You really have to invest in these people. You got to be genuine about them. And they will believe you if you're genuine. We've all come across those types where we go, oh man, they're just giving me lip service. I'm a very passionate person. You'll see me tear up at times. I believe in what I'm telling people. And if I don't believe it, you'll see that too. I'm probably the world's worst card player. I smile, I grimace, I frown. Sunglasses don't help me. I could wear a ski mask and you'd see right through it. Okay? That's why I love training so much, because I'm passionate about what I do. Right? I'm a realtor first, and I became a trainer. So my clients, I still sell, but you guys have become my clients. That's the way I look at it. Right? So I look at working with you guys, and I want you guys to learn and understand, and I want you to look at me as a resource, just like I want your clients to look at you as a resource. So I'm very passionate about you guys being successful because I believe in every one of you. But you got to believe in yourself. And the faster you arm yourself with information, the faster you'll be able to have those conversations. You know, what does your day look like? You know, we talk about 9/11 is lead generation time, right? Now you're new, so you should probably be lead.
We lost the audio again. Oh.
I'm on this mic. I'm going to try changing them out. Yeah, I changed the battery, so hopefully that will solve that. Thanks for bringing that to my attention, Kelly. All right, so I've been kind of going on a tangent here, and I see somebody ran out of the room, so let's sit on this for a second. What do you think about what I'm saying? And if you guys are online, please feel free to speak up. Tell me about your sphere. Tell me about what we were just talking about. How do you guys feel about that? Makes sense. It's very deep. Okay.
So he's with a lot of people all the time. So he's gonna be my help this way a lot. And he's also a very people's person. He loves to talk and he's very friendly. And just he's the guy who I think can really help me in the beginning.
He might also have a vested interest in you being successful, right? That's okay. Yeah, people are everything. And you'll see a lot of agents in this office. Their sphere is everything to them. You're going to hear about Buffini and some of the different trainings that we do around here. But your sphere is everything. It can make or break you. There's the law of numbers, right? The more leads I have, the more business I'll do. And that's absolutely true. 100% true. But how much time is it going to take to sort through 1,000 leads, to try to cultivate 1,000 leads, especially people that you haven't met, right? Can I buy a list of people online? Can I do Facebook advertising or social media advertising and just bomb people and try to respond? Because you have to respond in the first minute to truly get a hold of somebody. Are you prepared to do that? Let me tell you. So everything I talk about in class, are real life experiences for me. Okay. So for me, well, look who's walking in the room. That was the batteries were dead. Excellent. Room's full now. So for me, in the business, you may have heard there's a system called Boomtown. Okay, it's a CRM lead generation database, and before that, there was this thing called Tiger Leads, and it was just, to me, it's the magic bullet. This is going to make me rich, because you couldn't get it. Couldn't get it for a long time because they didn't saturate the market, so they had a couple of them in each territory. When I got here in 2012, I think in 13, I had the opportunity to get into Boomtown. I thought, this is going to propel me because I don't know anybody here. Like, literally, when I moved here, I knew nobody. So I was doing what I did in Arizona to build my business up. It was taking too long. So I'm going to do this. It was expensive. $2,000 a month. $2,000 a month. $1,500 for the CRM license, and I paid an additional $500 a month for advertising. That's a big number, right? That's a huge number, isn't it? Big. But I said, you know what? With the average price in Northern Virginia, I really only need one deal a month to be profitable. Okay? Let it rain, I thought. Let it rain. How many deals I get out of this system? Any ideas? I got one. I held it for 7 months. $1,400. Sorry, $14,000. Let's sink in. $14,000 I spent. I didn't know better. I thought I knew better, and I should have known better. And I've been in the business long enough to know that it wasn't necessarily the system. Part of it, I do look back and go, there were some system flaws. The biggest problem with the system, though, was me. I was a single agent. I couldn't handle 300 leads coming in a month. That weren't real leads. They were looky-loos. I couldn't respond to them in an appropriate amount of time for me to even try to get them on the phone. When somebody registers on your website and you don't connect with them that first minute, it's really hard to follow up with them. It's really hard, especially when they're just looky-loos. And it tears you apart because you're scrambling on time. Now, it did cost $14,000. I did have a lender partner go halvesies with me on this. Okay. But they also weren't following up as diligent on the leads as I thought that they might in the beginning. So it was a combination of things. Boomtown was the quality of leads that I had heard that would come in weren't what I was looking for. They were further out of my service area than I had originally agreed. And these are things that allowed me to get out of the contract because I had signed a much larger contract. I actually was able to get out. But it really comes down to, at first I was really angry. And I wanted to point blank. But when I really looked at it, I really kind of evaluated the situation, it was me. It was too big. I was focusing on the wrong things. I wasn't doing what had built my business in Arizona the right way the first time. I tried to ramp up the process with the law of numbers, and I wasn't staffed or leveraged well enough to do it. So be careful. Focus on your sphere, and if you don't have one, build one. I didn't have one. I knew like 3 people when I moved here in June 1st, 2012. Okay? I did open houses. I held the wrong open houses. So I told you when I first got my license in 2007, the first open house I did was $1 million. That was a huge number in Arizona. $1 million here in Northern Virginia, not such a huge number, right? So when I first got here, I actually lived in Great Falls. Not the Great Falls, but Loudoun County, Great Falls. Right? I was slumming it. Loudoun County, Great Falls. But I was actually in the Great Falls, the prestigious Great Falls. Our office was right behind the Brogue. So I was like, I'm going to kill it. I'm going to do what I did in Arizona. This was before I jumped into Boomtown. I'm going to kill it. I'm going to do what I did. I'm going to hold open houses, and these people are going to love me because I'm a social butterfly. Different world, different rules, big world. Didn't work for me. I was holding these open houses. I couldn't relate. I couldn't communicate to people. I'm holding $1.5 million, $2 million open houses. It wasn't that I wasn't armed with information. It wasn't that I didn't know what I was talking about. It wasn't that I didn't come across in a knowledgeable way. This was a different personality. These were different people that I was dealing with that I hadn't dealt with before. These are people with money, right? These are people with connections. They did not talk the way that I was used to communicating with people. And it took me a little while to realize that. So one day I held an open house in the Knolls, which is kind of on the border of Great Falls and Great Falls, Loudoun. And this house was $800,000. Still a huge number, okay? I maybe had 10 or 12 people come through that open house that day. I got 3 deals that day. One listing, so it was a buy or sell, and then I got a rental. And I went back and I go, wow, what was so different? What was so different that day? What was so different in me? Did I do anything different? I did everything exactly the same. I staged my open house, had my announcement of my open house out. I was ready to go. But what was different that day? The only thing that was really different was the price point. That was the only real difference. The type of people, the personality of people that came through that house was different than was coming through the houses in Great Falls. For whatever reason, it clicked better with me. So my focus shift. I no longer did $1 million+ open houses in Great Falls. I shifted a little bit more into Cascades, Rose Island, the Knolls. I stayed under $1 million, and my business picked up. I capped the next year, almost $5 million in business. That little thing, that little lesson learned, changed how I looked at things. These are things you're going to have to learn. It was different because it was a neighborhood. I didn't know the areas like I knew, so I was trying to find my own. But it dawned on me that day of what I was doing different. I didn't have people. Most people in Great Falls had somebody. It was much harder to break into. A lot of times you'll find an open house, people say, I have somebody, and they really don't. Well, there they really kind of did. They really kind of all had somebody. But I stepped down a little bit. That step-up buyer market, right? Because it's not an entry-level market by any means at $800,000. But it's more like that second home, right? Townhouse, just had kids, maybe looking for that little house. Maybe we're coming out, a lot of them were coming out of D.C., right, to move out to get that suburban house. And for whatever reason, that clicked for me. So you're going to have to find that for you. There's going to be trial and errors for you guys to find out what works. So you're going to have to find that for you. But I kind of went down a rabbit hole here, and I do that. But so that worked, but the Boomtown didn't. Face-to-face, knowing where I needed to be, who my people were, versus the law of numbers. There's a balance when you grow your team. If you have 3 or 4 people, if you've got admin support, maybe you've got inside sales agents, then those law of numbers can kind of come into play a little bit because you can have that on top of. Building your sphere is first and foremost. And then I'm going to keep coming back over and over and over again. You got to have people that you can rely on. Okay? And it doesn't mean that you know who those people are yet. It might be somebody you meet at an open house tomorrow. You don't know. You might connect with somebody. You put yourself out there. What do you guys think about that? What do you think, Kelly? Think about my little passionate story right there. Does it resonate with you? Why?
meet different types of personality types, and then you sort of have to figure out how to deal with each of them individually because they're all different.
Technology is not a silver bullet, right? We led off with that. It's not. You're going to make that mistake. Hand raised. I'm coming back to you. What do you think about what I just said? Hoity-toity, stuffy people, right? Right. We're not in their sphere yet, right? Yeah. So what I do, I threw myself into PTO, threw myself into Little League hockey, Little League baseball. I started to make connections with people, thought out with people, had coffee with people. Went back to me, good face-to-face. Law of numbers didn't work for me. Never got to the point in my business where that made sense. I tried to accelerate the process, and I failed miserably at it. Lesson learned. Okay? Your turn. We are on page. Fill out your sphere of influence. This is page 22 for me. This is page 24 for you guys. You guys see that your term sphere of influence, my sphere? See those blocks? So you're going to take 10 minutes. I'm going to set my little alarm here. Now this says make it a competition, but I'm not going to go ahead and do that. I just want you guys to take time to identify what you have here. Start filling in who's your fear. Immediate family, hobby, sports, groups, personal, teachers, home, auto, church, real estate. Just go ahead and take some time to fill in. And for those of you playing at home, I'm going to call on you next. So have some answers for me. Online. All right, talk to me about your sphere. What do you see? Give me some ahas. Were you able to fill in some of the blanks? Did one of the sphere blocks stand out more than the others? Yes, no, maybe so. Okay. Okay, so banker, insurance, and attorney, people you don't necessarily have in your wheelhouse right now. Where could you find those? Okay. All right, so you haven't looked at that way, right? All right, but you do know somebody in that arena potentially. So are there arenas that maybe you don't have yet? But if there was somebody that I needed to get in my, maybe I don't have a painter, right? Maybe I don't have a personal banker. Can I go find one? Sure.
There's a couple on here that I don't have.
Okay.
Teachers, I have none that I know of.
Okay.
And then hobby sports group, I have hobbies and sports I do, but they're not groups.
Okay.
They're kind of individuals that I play golf. And church, not on my radar.
Okay.
There are some areas that it's identified. It's not part of it.
Right. So you got to gravitate. That's right. It's fine. Like, but if you look around, look online, look in the phone books, something might speak to you, right? Maybe there's an organization or a group or somebody in your sphere already that might be an opportunity for you, right? There are, you've got networking groups, B&I groups, things like that. That there's a monetary cost of that, but usually not overwhelming. That sometimes opportunities open up that maybe somebody in your sphere belongs to, right? People drop in and out of these groups at times, and a realtor is usually a really good, prestigious thing to kind of get involved with in a lot of these groups, because if you can get in, right, it's usually a competitive thing. I participated in a B&I where I had to be, it was one of like 5 or 6 realtors up for the job. I didn't get it, but the lady that ran the organization actually liked me, so actually asked me to start my own, right? So that was an opportunity, it was something I did in Arizona. The person I chose knew a lot of people already, but you never know what kind of opportunity comes up. So this is a thought-provoking activity for you to kind of really look at who you know and what you know or what you don't know, and kind of and build from there. So come back to that. Come back to that often. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Right.
I can see maybe agents that are outside of the area. I understand you having real estate agents that are outside the area, so they're in a position to refer to and receive referrals from, kind of thing. But where would be the value in having local real estate agents in your sphere when they're trying to do the same thing you're doing?
It's a great question. Who's got an answer for that?
If there's something that you don't specialize in or that you just don't want to work with, like let's say I specifically only want to work with sellers and not buyers, who are you going to refer all those buyers to? You want to have somebody for that.
Bingo. Commercial. You have a commercial agent who doesn't do residential. How do we partner up together? All right, I kind of reference living. I live in Ashburn. You live in Loudoun County, right? Centerville. Okay. You may or may not do business in D.C. or Maryland or even inside the Beltway. And there are people that certainly inside the Beltway don't cross the Beltway going in the other direction. And we're all in this market center, right? And do all those people have teams or people on their teams? No. Right. So can you establish relations in this market center or in other market centers to say, hey, you know what? I don't want to do business inside the Beltway. You don't want to do business outside the Beltway. We establish a relationship to do that. Right? You do commercial, I don't do commercial, you don't do residential, or maybe I don't do condos, or maybe I don't do apartment buildings, or I don't do leases. So so that's a limiting belief used. Like that's a perfect example. I get that question about Facebook. Why would I be friends with realtors on Facebook? Well, maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. But don't limit yourself to that. That's a great, great question. Because it is a local referral base too, not just a national referral base, because we live in a really broad area. I'm not licensed in Maryland. I'm not licensed in DC. I originally thought I was going to be. No, I'm good. So I will refer my business to DC and Maryland and even parts of Virginia. There are also areas that I'm not comfortable with, right? I don't know a lot of the condos or townhouses areas. I may or may not do business in Old Town. I'm not sure. So you be careful of that. So you establish those relationships. You never know where they're going to get you. Great question. Time blocking. Okay. You've got to prepare. You've got to take action, and you've got to maintain when it comes to getting ready for your business. Right. So we're going to watch a video here. Let me get that up to speed. Guess I could have done that while you guys were doing your little drill there.
Lead generation is your #1 job. You have started by calling your Mets, your sphere of influence. You have even reached out via social media. But what do you do when you run out of contacts? Where can you find more leads? There are many places you can find additional prospecting opportunities. Think about your children's sporting events or activities. And don't forget about your own organizations and clubs.
Cool. So I'll say where we're from, and then you give production levels. Is that all right? Hi. My name is Dylan Provenche.
I'm Sean Provenche.
We're from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. We're the Real Estate Brothers.
2014, we wrote 72 transactions for $47 million.
Sean and I are very lucky because we're actually fairly entrepreneurial in sales. So we were able to just sort of survive by luck and by just sort of being likable and nice.
We had a decent business that wasn't growing.
We did a lot of door knocking originally, but what we found was with bad weather, plus you have to drive to door knock, it was just too much of a wild card.
If we were to grow the business, we needed to add people to our database, and if we were going to do that, we needed a systematic way that we knew we could achieve results that were predictable. So we just kind of started cold calling
about 3 hours a day, and we found that the results were phenomenal.
Come take a look where we've been this whole time.
You can literally do it from your kitchen.
It's just more time effective.
Yeah.
If you're cheap like we are, you don't want to spend a ton of money on the web or in print. Telephone lines, you pay a monthly bill and you can call all you want. Why don't you come in here and we'll show you the cold calling here. We've got a map where we've broken the entire city into zones. We like to target areas where we have buyers.
It's been scrubbed to the do not call list, and it still represents over 250,000 phone numbers.
All of our desks have 3 monitors. We have Mojo in the middle. We have our scripts on the right. And then on the left,
do some research on the heads they're calling for, stuff like that. Cold calling is like adding jet fuel to your car or something. Like it pumps your business up.
We went from making,
what was our first year? Like 70K. And then this year together we did $1.1 million. So this is Sean calling from the Real Estate Brothers. You know what, I'm so sorry to bug you today, but I just noticed that you have to treat cold calling as though it's an appointment. If you don't prioritize it, things will always find their way in and block you from being able to do it. It's the most important thing you can do for your business.
Absolutely most important, and you have to quantify it as well. The bold 100 contacts a week is a really, really cool way
to set a bar.
To set a bar and get started and stick to it. Whatever your decision is.
I was just wondering, was anything changed in your plans? Are you still thinking this great to get it on the market?
You can't think today was a bad cold calling day because today doesn't matter. What matters is what you accomplish in a year. And if you just keep adding people to your database and systematically follow up with them and take care of the people who you work for, you'll do great.
You're not always going to have great success every day, but it's by doing it every day that you have great success.
We're going to be in the neighborhood for the next 2 weeks giving free evaluations. You know what I'd love to do?
I'll say, too, that one thing that we were afraid of, and I think everyone is just the rejection side of things. People being mean to you on the phone and rude. We have this saying with our team that you're either part of our future or part of our past, and either way, it's fine. The people who are rude to us are obviously not going to be part of our future.
Have a chuckle about it. Like, honestly, when someone cusses at me or something, I just laugh because it's funny.
And do you think that it might make sense for us to book something tentatively for the weekend?
The more time you spend not on the phone, you're losing money because that 3 hours of my day is my 20% where I make my money.
Don't get ready to start thinking about how you're going to eventually do something. Just do it. Like, just do it. Done.
Stop watching this video, get off your butt, and go start dialing numbers and talking to people. Just get on the phone.
Yeah, and if you hate money, don't do it.
Yeah.
I think.
Get over it. That's a great question. Do people answer their phones? I agree with you. So if they don't answer the phone, what do they do? If people don't answer the phone, what are they more likely to do? Text. I agree. This video is a little bit older, but we've seen a pretty tremendous shift in how the phone is used. I completely agree with that.
I would have to challenge trusting a stranger, just a random stranger who's calling me over the phone with, a $400,000 or $500,000 transaction. My first step, if I'm going to go down the road of wanting to buy or sell a house, is I'm going to ask my friends for a referral. Who do you know? Versus, a timely phone call from somebody I've never met.
Right. Comes back to sphere, right? There's mindset, right? There's definitely people out there that are waiting for that call. The question is, how many of those calls do I have to make to find that one person? Yeah. I think the cold calling is probably the biggest thing that people in our industry will struggle with, me included, right? We talked about that. So that's why I will tell you to focus. He had a team, right? So he had inside sales. And so while there's a time and a place when you get to your business at a certain level, to you expand upon it. You get a certain number of people in your database that there are calls of people that you aren't necessarily in regular contact with that do need to take place. You've met them at an open house. You met them in a line at the grocery store. You met them at PTO. Passively, you met them at a cocktail party. You met them at a football game. You met them at a basketball game. That you made a contact. So is that a cold call follow-up? Not necessarily, but it's not necessarily where your comfort zone is either, right? So you kind of build. That's right. I agree. So on page 20, prospecting opportunities, okay? We're going to watch a video here, but we're going to talk about prospecting opportunities here. Prepare, take action, and maintain. So solid preparation is the foundation for any successful prospecting. Plan to spend approximately 30 minutes getting ready. I will tell you that no matter if it's prospecting or lead generation, take time to get ready. Organize yourself. Or if you say you're going to start at 9 o'clock, you need to start at 8:30 to get ready. Because if you start at 9 o'clock and go, well, I'm going to get my coffee, I'm going to get my books out, I'm going to power up the computer, I'm going to do custom searches, who do I got to call today? Let's start that earlier. The prospecting lead gen time is the actual time spent on the phone. So give your time, setup time to get ready, right? So don't get stuck around that water cooler. Prep your call list. Now, your call list can be any combination, right, as we talked about, right? Referrals, neighbors, expired or withdrawn listings, sphere, right? We talked about this before our start, right? The sphere, are your neighbors essentially, are they your sphere? Maybe, maybe not. Do you know everybody on your block? Okay. So they're not in your sphere then, right? Could they be? Could they very probably quickly become somebody in your sphere? Sure. Are you intentional and purposeful when you go to neighborhood Christmas parties? Like, do you talk to people? Like, you'd be shocked. I'm not saying you wear your name badge to a Christmas party, but you talk real estate at a Christmas party, before you know it, you've got a crowd, right? And I don't care if you've been licensed a week, you got a crowd. Everybody wants to know what's going on in the market. Oh, you're a realtor? They don't ask you, you been a realtor a while? You just get your license. They don't ask that, do they? What's the first question I ask? How's the market? How's the market? Here's a funny thing. So when I was in Arizona, and how's the market was a scary question. The bottom dropped out, like what you saw on television. We all had a word for that. How's the market? You know what that word was? Unbelievable. Am I lying? Unbelievable. Took care of everything. First time I heard that, I went, oh, that's just genius. Just flat out genius. How's the market? Unbelievable. Depending on what hat you were wearing. Do you need to sell? Unbelievable, man. You looking to buy? Unbelievable. Looking to invest? Oh, man, unbelievable opportunities. Be careful with a loaded question and be prepared on how you're going to answer it, but knowing where that question is coming from, right? Sphere, for sale by owners. Do you call for sale by owners? Maybe. That might be a method that you decide to adopt. There are people, that's what they do. They look for the expires, they practice their scripts, and that's who they call. Now, you have to be careful with for sale by owners, or no, I'm sorry, expires. Talk for sale by owners first. For sale by owners, what typically is a for sale by owner, or why is there a for sale by owner? Is it that they don't want to pay agent's commission? Is it they don't want to pay any commission, or they don't want to pay the entire commission? They want to save, right? So if there's a for sale by owner, is there still a possibility that I could represent a buyer in that transaction? So if you drive down the street and you see a for sale by owner, and just challenge us. So just drive around and see what you see. Get the number, make a call, schedule an appointment, and say, hey, I understand your house for sale. I do business in the area. I would love to preview the property because I might have some buyers that might be interested. Okay. You meet them. Okay. Maybe you bring them a market analysis. Give them some come from contribution. You know, they might tell you the price. Their price might be low. It might be high. Okay. You're not trying to get. You're not going there to get. That's not a listing appointment. You don't confuse yourself. They say sure. That's not a listing appointment. Do what you're going to say you're going to do. You're going to show up. You're going to evaluate the property. Then you say, well, this is great. If I was to bring a buyer to you, would you be willing to compensate me? Might charge 3%. That's what I get to bring a buyer to a property. I understand that traditionally I'll take a listing at 6%, but I don't know if you understand how that works. Typically that's split both ways. I don't keep the 6%. If I was to bring a buyer to you, is that something you would be interested in? What do you think they're going to say? They're going to say no? Sometimes. More times than not, they're going to say, yeah, I'll compensate you. And they might try to negotiate, but hey, listen, I'll give you 2%. I'll give you 2.5%. And, you know, you go back and forth. You put an agreement in place. Okay? I have a buyer-broker agreement. You put something in writing that says if I show the price, because you have to have that in writing, because I can't bring a person through the house, right? And then say, hey, you know, they're interested, but you're going to have to pay me. At that point, you're done. You got to represent your buyer, and you might not get paid. And depending on how you wrote your buyer-broker agreement, right? Because your buyer-broker agreement says you get paid 3%. And it may say that your buyer owes you 3%. Right? So if you're going to show for sale by owners, you have to have a conversation with your buyer. If your buyer says, I want to see this for sale by owner, okay, it's your job to show them, but you have to have a conversation with them. Say, listen, I get compensated. Somebody's got a question online? Go ahead and turn on your mic if you got a question. Your buyer owes you money, right? Oh. I can answer later. Okay. I was missing the mic? Okay. Yeah, so you have to have a conversation with your buyer. If your buyer says, hey, I want to see this for sale by owner, by all means, let me have a conversation with this owner and see if they're willing to let a represented party come in to the transaction, see if I can get them to agree like I would on a listing and get compensated. Otherwise, you know, I would have to receive some sort of compensation in this agreement. And even though my agreement with you does say I get 3% of the transaction or is offered in MRS, this is not an MRS listing. Okay, so if I'm going to represent you, you know, I could be owed some commission for this. Right, so that's a conversation you have to be prepared to have with the for sale by owner. But so when you do go to those for sale by owners, you know, more times than not, they're going to agree to let you bring somebody in. More times than not. But over time, if you show that property a couple of times and they're not getting any sales, they may look to you to list the property. They may start asking you questions, right? They may say, well, you know, been on the market for 6 months, not getting a whole lot of traction. Right? You know the numbers, or you should know the numbers. Most for sell by owners sell for far less than what they do had they been on the actual MRS. You basically would have an agreement in place that the owner would, it's a compensation agreement. It's not a buyer broker because they're a seller. So it's a commissional agreement. Yes, you would have to have them sign something before you bring your buyers through. Because if you bring your buyers through and the buyer falls in love with the property and you don't have an agreement in place with that seller to be compensated, they don't owe you anything. If your buyer wants to buy that property, your buyer can end up having to compensate you because it's how the buyer broker agreement is written. Make sense? Does everybody follow that? So there's opportunity, and I challenge you. You see for seller owners, go look at them, especially if they're in your turf, they're in your hood. You know, see what they look like. There might be teardowns. Maybe there's investment opportunities. You can go find. Hey, you know, I'm just trying to sell this. I know there's no money in it. The house is a teardown. I'm hoping an investor just comes and takes it off my hands. Oh, great. I happen to know some investors. I'd bring an investor to you. Would you compensate me for that? Absolutely. You'd be surprised. Leads from sign calls or website. You know, follow up on those right away. They're cold warm coming to you, but they're also calling 10 other people. Right? So you got to get to them as quickly. Expired or withdrawn. So when you're mining the MRS, or you know, this comes to neighborhood, monitoring your neighborhood, knowing what's going on, property comes and goes off the market. Be sure that the property is withdrawn or taken off the market, because you need to make sure that that contract has been terminated so you're not stepping on somebody else's toes. Right? And I've even made calls. This is just a karma thing with me. I've had buyers say, hey, I'm interested in this property, and then, you know, boom, went off the market today. It was just withdrawn or went temporary off, or maybe it even expired. I'll call the previous listing agent and go, look, I just got a call on this property today. I saw that when it went off the market. I saw that it was expired, temporary, withdrawn, check some information about this. I got a buyer that really would like to see the property. Do you think your seller would allow us to come and take a look? And more times than not, they're like, you know what? Yeah, they just decided they were going to reset or they're going to come off. You know, they still have a relationship that they can call them and maybe schedule that appointment. They don't waste their time, but I have done that. Now, if it's truly expired and I want that listing, I'm not going to contact. But if I represent a buyer, I'm not going to get greedy and try to double end the transaction and bypass. I'll call that person. Because remember, in a listing agreement, you know, you've got the period of time that maybe I showed it or they saw it or whatnot. So I'm not always looking to cut somebody out. So I'm careful with that. Rehearse your scripts. Script practice is important, right? Practice with each other. Practice online. Practice in a mirror. You know, there's a training class that I took when I was learning how to kind of speak to you all. And I was recording myself. I was watching myself in the mirror. I set up my phone. I was playing it back. You get comfortable with things. The scripts are important. And it's not necessarily as important to memorize the script as it is to internalize the script, right? Because very rarely when you do a script and you actually get through the entire script, right? Somebody's going to interject, they're going to butt, they're going to cut you off, it's going to spin in a different direction. So the script is there with the intent and purpose of why I'm calling, but you never know where it's going to go. So you got to be careful not to get rattled if it goes off script and how I'm going to respond to that. So that's where you look at those scripts, understand the rebuttals and what your end objective is. Okay, you don't necessarily have to get through everything, but your objective is to get the appointment. So master script. Script mastery is important from an internalization standpoint because it's going to sound like it's coming from you, right? We've all had those calls, right? Ring, ring. Pause. Oh, Jenna, hi. This is Dave Donaldson. You know, you've lost there. You're already hanging up. Before I even talk, you're hanging up, right? So don't be that person that's, I'm going to make calls today. Dial. Please don't answer. Please don't answer. Please don't answer. You laugh. Am I lying? No? Please don't answer. Crap. They answered. What do I do now? Preparation. generation, right? Uh-huh. They had a screen, right? So they had information for the neighborhood, which probably was listings or transactional data that was going on. They had their Mojo dialer, which is an automated dialer. It's going to keep calling until somebody answers, right? And then they had their scripts, right? So we have script podiums, we've got script boards, right? You internalize them. I've got a little book that I laminate so I can kind of thumb through. But yeah, so be prepared. Like, answer the phone. I'm ready. Answer the phone. I'm ready to go. I'm ready. You got to frame yourself. You get yourself worked into a tizzy. Like, I can see you getting all worked up. Like, I'm ready to go. I got this. It's mindset. All mindset. But the first call is always the hardest, right? All right, another video.
Your children's school or PTA would be an excellent source for contacts, as well as your lead generation. Lead generation is your #1 job. You have started by calling your Mets, your sphere of influence. You have even reached out via social media. But what do you do when you run out of contacts? Where can you find more leads? There are many places you can find additional prospecting opportunities. Think about your children's sporting events or activities. And don't forget about your own organizations and clubs. Your children's school or PTA would be an excellent source for contacts, as well as your place of worship. Even your mechanic. They rely on referrals for their business just like you do. Using these and other sources for prospecting opportunities will lead to more contacts and referrals that will grow your business. More contacts and referrals will lead to more appointments, listings, and closings. This will help you meet and exceed your goals.
Okay, prospecting. The name of the game, right? Age 26, 25, 26. So give me some sources of prospecting. We kind of touched on it, but just kind of throw them out there. Where are you going to prospect? We're going to prospect, huh? We're going to prospect. Dance group. What's wrong with that? Is that a question or is that an answer? All right, it's an answer. All right, who else got one? Online, chime in. Where are you going to prospect? Open houses. Next. Absolutely. Did you know one of our agents last year sold a $16 million embassy? $16 million. The Turkish embassy. How'd you like to have that commission check? 16 mil. The Turkish embassy bought it. They actually bought an embassy. Yeah. That's a good relationship to have, right? Does the embassy have money? Yeah, right. Absolutely. So what embassy would that be? Czech Republic. Absolutely. I would farm that. Heck yeah. What else? Come on. Dance group, open house, embassies. Where's you going to prospect? You see the sloth commercial? What am I going to write? What's Dave going to write? It's not a bicycle. Friends. Farm. Might have heard of this. Face to face. Ah! Facebook! Do you farm? Do you prospect on Facebook? Can you? Right? It's not just Facebook, right? But it's all social media, right? Do talk the same way on all social media channels? Can I do the same thing on Facebook that I can do on LinkedIn? Can I talk the same way on Facebook, on LinkedIn? But, right, every medium has a different voice. So you got to be careful. How you post, what you post, how you communicate, who you talk to, how you represent yourself is different on every medium. So you kind of have to understand. So what I tell people, if you haven't been on these platforms before, don't be scared of them. I will tell you that Facebook and LinkedIn are pretty much a necessity in today's world. Like I gave you some examples of we got 10 leads off of Facebook just for being on Facebook and communicating in an appropriate manner. But you got to know who you're talking to, how you're talking to, and how you present yourself. Very, very careful that way. Social, what else? I kind of give some examples of my personal life. What did I say? Where do I prospect? Hockey, right? When I first got my license here, where else did I prospect? PTA, right? Schools, right? Some of you, church, right? Baseball, little league, soccer, right? If you got kids. Kids are like the greatest, right? Because they just get you into all kinds of stuff. Karate, church, music, school, hockey, baseball, instruments. There's people, they're dragging you everywhere to get in front of people, right? Also, can you prospect? Can I prospect at Starbucks? How do I prospect at Starbucks? Sit down and have a cup of coffee with somebody. Sheila posted a picture in our group the other day. Our Starbucks down the street. It was an agent, Keller Williams agent from another market center, right? Had a little table sign, said, I'll talk to you. If you want to talk real estate, sit down, I'll buy you a cup of coffee. $3 investment? Right? People do it all the time. You can get a skin, you can get the table timer, you can put a skin on the back of your laptop that says, never too busy to talk real estate, sit down and buy a cup of coffee. Starbucks, right? Grocery stores, everywhere. There's prospecting opportunities everywhere. We talked a little bit about for sale by owners, and they kind of outline on here. Do's and don'ts, we'll kind of run through these a little bit. Don't be pushy. Come from contribution, right? Know what's happening in the neighborhood or the area, right? How can you help these people? They want to sell their house. Help them. And you could probably make some money at the same time. But don't go in there with an agenda of, I'm going to get this listing, because that's going to blow up on you, right? Ask for business, offer advice, and be available as a resource, right? Because you do a limited service agreement where maybe you just represent them to do the contract for 1%. Sure you can. Right? Because they may not know what they're getting themselves into. Right? Did you know provide market information when it's appropriate? Do you know the homes in the neighborhood are selling less than 90 days? You've been on the market 115. Okay? That home in their neighborhood is sold for 350. Values are going up. But you're listed at 450. They're not up that high. Let's talk about that. Vendor referrals. Right? We have the ability to partner with people, title companies, lenders, painters, contractors, right? Is this a quid pro quo type of business? Absolutely. If I'm referring you something, now I can't do it for the sake of kickback, but can we have an understanding that I want you to be successful, and I would think that you want me to be successful? So can you have an expectation that you might refer me some business? I've had lenders refer me their brothers, their sisters, their brothers-in-laws, right? And I didn't necessarily go in it with the intention that I worked with a guy that was really good, so it was fairly new, and gave him a good amount of business, and he reached out to me one day, said, hey, we've done like 11 deals. You know, I didn't realize it. He was a good guy, took care of my clients. He said, my brother-in-law, needs to buy a house. So his brother a house, brother-in-law a house, sold the brother-in-law's brother a house. So my expectations changed. I wasn't being intentional with my vendors. It's tricky being new in a market center, because where are you going to go for vendor referrals? going to go to other agents, right? So it's going to be harder to get, as if you ask me for my painter, I'll give him to you, but it's just going to make me look good to my painter. It'll help your client out because he's good. But so you kind of have to look to yourself. You know, before I had my license, did I have people work on my house? Did I have people work on my car? Have I had somebody service my lawn, my irrigation, my roof, painter, dishwasher? You know, can I buy them a cup of coffee and have a conversation around, you know what? I'm licensed now. We're in front of people. A lot of the painters and contractor companies are in houses before we are sometimes, right? You know, I'll continue. You do great work. I'd love to work with you. But hey, you know, if you see somebody that's coming online, is it okay? If, you know, would you mind sending me some business? And if you're working with other agents, that's okay. We all got to eat, right? I'm sending you business, and Dennis is sending you business, and you know, I get that. Or if you have a preferred realtor of choice, can I be the second? Because it's that client, while 82% of the time they may choose the first person they meet with, but sometimes they want to meet with more than one person, right? So it's okay to have that conversation. I literally heard an agent in this market center call a contractor who was the father of a realtor in this market center and ask for referrals. I kid you not. Said, hey, and here's the thing, and think about it this way. So this agent referred him more business than his son did. I happen to refer you a lot of business, and you do great work. But I would really like it if you found it to maybe refer a couple of people back my way this year. Is that something you could do? He's got to eat too. If his son's not producing, what good is it? Was there any harm in that? I thought it was blazing. I don't know if I would have done it. I was aghast when I heard the conversation. But I said, you know what? Good for you. I said, why did you think this? He said, well, I was looking at it, and I was in a class. I was in a training class, and it got to me. I said, you know what? I started looking at it, and I referred this guy a lot of business this year and last year. He does great work. I think it's appropriate. I said, you're 100% correct. And kudos to you for making the call, because that's a hard call. Right? Mind-blowing stuff. It's 11 o'clock. You need a break? All right. I'm just freewheeling and rolling. Yeah, if you let's take 10. All right, online, we're taking 10. Online, clicking on off. Does anybody online have questions while we were in a break? Misa, I saw that you had a question earlier. Mike, okay. So I noticed there was sound quality issues earlier. I'm seeing your test. Was the sound quality any better when I changed the batteries?
It's been pretty good. I can hear you pretty good.
So it's been better over the last half hour, 45 minutes or so. Thank you.
I'm still going through my contacts in my phone.
It's all good. It's all good. we're going to go ahead. We're going to pick back up here. Because we're going to talk about social media a little bit more here in a second. So we kind of broke off here at talking about expireds and withdrawals and FSBOs, and just kind of getting through these here. We touched on expireds, understanding the NAR code of ethics when you're making a phone call, make sure that is truly expired. Open houses is really important. So at the bottom of page, this is 35, but I'm on page 30, probably 30, 31 for you guys. You got that grid? Lead generation focus for open houses? 32, okay. So I want to talk about that because open houses is, aside from your sphere of business, is first and foremost one of the most important things that you can do to jumpstart your business. And I'd have to look at the calendar, but I think there's an open house class. Attend that. There's a mindset to open house and how you do them. Everybody does them a little bit differently, but fundamentally it's the same. But how you launch yourself for an open house is really, really important. Knowing you don't just show up on a Sunday, stick your signs in the yard. There's preparation that takes place. Going to look at the houses in the neighborhood. Make sure it's a home in a neighborhood where you want to do business, right? You don't necessarily want to do an open house in Gainesville if you have no interest in doing business in Gainesville. Not that there's anything wrong with doing business in Gainesville. I got a listing out there and it turned into 3 transactions. Driving to Gainesville. It was great because I got to stop at Wawa and get my coffee and Wawa Shorty. Some of my favorite stuff from up in PA. So let's look at get purposeful and open houses, right? You got before, during, and after. Make announcements to your database. Invite people to your open house. Ask for referrals. Who do you know that's looking to buy and sell in this particular neighborhood? Call, email, market on social media, right? If I blast that I'm doing this open house, I'll post the link from my website on my social media account. Maybe do an invite, or I have done Facebook Live walking through the property real quick. Say, hey, I'm doing an open house this Sunday. Come and see me. I'll be opening up at 1 o'clock. Here's a quick tour. Look at this great, I won't show them everything. I might show them a feature that stands out up here. There's a great theater room or a great yard or a great backyard or a great family or an unbelievable kitchen. I'll just be like, if you think the kitchen is great, you got to see the rest of the house. We give them a little teaser, right? So it's getting over that comfort, putting yourself out there. I did Periscope for a little while. Before Facebook Live, there was this thing called Periscope, right? It's the same type of thing. Facebook Live kind of replaced it. Periscope was a Twitter. It was part of Twitter, actually. So that was something so preparing yourself. Nearby, door knocks, 50 to the right, 50 to the left, 100 across the street. Hey, I love neighbors coming in. Looky-loos. They all know somebody that wants to move to the neighborhood, right? I'm having a new... Absolutely. I'd never liked those people anyway, but I want to see what they were doing, right? I know they were doing all this work on this house. What's their house? My house has got to be better than theirs. They're nosy. It's fantastic. So you go invite them. Or you say, hey, listen, I'm doing an open house at 1 o'clock, but I'm going to open it up to the neighbors at 12, right? Make it private and special for them. Because if you do a good job selling that house or finding a buyer for that house, or you make a connection with that neighborhood, whether it's your listing or not, that could lead to future business for you. So absolutely talk to the neighbors. Seb is the door knocking, invite, open house has referrals. During the open house, face-to-face, you got to spend time with people. Right? Some open houses are busier than others. In the down market in Arizona, I had to find a way to buy time because I literally would have 30 to 50 people come through an open house. I would put out 40 signs for an open house. Oh, yeah. Well, it's because they were giving away houses. They were so cheap. Everybody wanted a deal. So I adjusted my signs. They look like I wouldn't do for sale by or bank-owned properties because they weren't bank-owned, but I did black and yellow signs and just threw open house on them. And to say, come in and get a free list of area homes. So people would flock and like, oh my, you got the keys to the kingdom. So I would just customize a home search based on what they were looking for and their criteria. Everything was a short sale foreclosure back then. So I had to find time in my open house because I was too busy. So literally what I did is I would have area maps, list of homes, and I would use painter's tape and mount them on the wall around the house. And I would work systematically around